Hello, we're the AI Thumbs Revival team, and I am Min, the PM and the engineering of our team.
I'm Nathan. I'm the team lead.
I'm Chris. I work in both the design and engineering team.
I'm Zelia, and I work on the engineering team.
I'm Arjun, and I also work on the engineering team.
I'm Tyler, and I worked on the design team.
And finally, Whitney had a schedule, so she couldn't come here, but she also participates in our engineering team. So the table of contents, we'll be talking about the problem statement and then going over the final product that we have created and going over to the marketing ideas of the app and then reflecting upon our whole project until today for the 10 weeks and addressing the possible improvements that we could have done for the 10-week progress. So our team worked to revise the original app by adding a lesson and a few features. And the app was built to teach people in an easy and efficient way where the user could obtain necessary information without going through the overwhelming information provided in textbooks and the general internet. We intended to make the lesson as easy and understandable as possible to allow the user to digest the content without having prior knowledge of the field. In addition, we have proposed a future path for the users of our app to gain further knowledge by addressing AI camp, allowing them to carry on their passion for AI and participate in more challenging projects. Now, Arjun will be talking about deployments.
Yeah, so we were able to finalize all our code and fix some minor formatting issues. And today we built, and now our app is pending review on the App Store. And in roughly about a few days, it should be good to go for downloads. So yeah.
Chris,
Okay,
if you could stop your screen share, I'll pull it up on my phone and we'll walk through it. It might be a little laggy, but yeah, we'll start off with our neural network lesson.
Okay, so for the first section of our neural networks lesson, we give a basic overview of neural networks and their uses. So on the first two screens, we just give a simple definition of neural networks and go into some of the uses of it. And after the first two introductory screens, we implemented some interactivity in the form of a CAPTCHA. So the purpose of the CAPTCHA was to help show how humans are good at identifying patterns. And we then elaborate on this a bit, explaining to the user that computers aren't able to see and identify patterns like we do. And after this explanation, we explain more on the fact that neural networks are a solution to this problem as they're based on the human brain, which is pretty efficient. Then for the rest of the section, we just go over how the neurons contribute to the human understanding and the nodes in the neural networks, which are similar to these neurons. Now, onto section 2, which covers more about neural networks.
So section 2 focuses on how neural networks work. First, it talks about how neural networks take in data and use that data to generate outputs. And then it talks about the 3 different types of neural network layers, and then it briefly introduces deep neural networks. And then finally, it introduces the concept of backpropagation through a matching game, where first the user is not given any information, so they have to make random guesses. And then once they submit their guess, they are told what the correct matches are, and then they can try again. And then we explain how this is like what a neural network does in backpropagation. Next, we are going to move on to section 3, and Chris is going to talk about it.
Yeah, so our final section of the neural network lesson aims to provide the user with a real-world application of what they've been learning. So because neural networks drive many of the systems we interact with today, it's important that learners know that what they're learning is applicable to real life. So the example we chose here was the Amazon recommendation system. And it's quite easy for humans to recognize what items fit into what categories. So, but it's not immediately clear how a computer might do this. And we explained that a neural network is what allows the Amazon's recommendation system to complete this task by recognizing patterns in data to generate accurate predictions as to what a consumer might be interested in purchasing. So that's it for the neural network lesson.
So back on the home screen, one important thing we wanted in this redesign was to have the link to AI Camp, seen in bottom green, because one of the goals of this app was to drive interest in the AI Camp program. Above that, there is the quiz catalog, which holds the 4 quizzes we created. And then also on the home screen, we had horizontal scrolling to hold all of our lessons. So moving on to the quizzes, we created 4 quizzes where each quiz has 2 to 3 questions and each question has 3 to 4 answers. So if the user picks the right answer, they'll move on to the next question. And if they pick a wrong answer, they will get immediate feedback. And at the end, it will show them their score and take them back to the home screen. And I will move on to some marketing ideas for the app.
I'm working on it. Hold on. Should we get that?
So we want to promote the app in 2 ways. One way would be adding a tab in the navigation bar on the AI Camp website, which will take them to an example landing page seen below, which will have a download link to the app. A second way is by including the app in the emails that were sent out by students to their educators, and it could then be used as possible educational resources for students. And I will pass it off to Zalia to talk about what we learned.
So throughout the course of this incubator, we've learned a lot of things, and some of the most important ones being time management, problem solving like debugging, how to code in React Native, and communication and teamwork. We also learn how to present information in a clear and concise way that's easy for people to understand. Now Nathan is going to talk about the best practices that we implemented.
So jumping into best practices, the first one being, code readability. That kind of ties into the second one as well. These two kind of pair well in terms of, we obviously linted the code after we were done pre-build so that, our code followed proper styling and kind of eliminated the chance for errors when we went to build. And then another major one that we kind of utilized was obviously updating code in GitHub. And for development, we worked on separate branches, and then when we were ready to test, we merged into one branch, tested on our phones and stuff like that, and then updated from there as needed. From here, I'll pass it off to Chris to talk about our communication and teamwork.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so our team expressed a few things that we felt like we did well and a few things that we could have done better. Okay. So firstly, we maintained constant communication within and between the design and engineering teams regarding progress and changes. And we kept track of this through a sprint board, but we also made sure to update each other through our actual meetings, which we found as a positive. And then on the more technical side, we were pretty proactive in helping each other when running into issues, particularly on the engineering side of things. And finally, we kind of all agreed that we collected feedback from other incubator participants when planning the solution to our problem statement and planning our lesson design. That kind of made sure that our ideas didn't exist in a vacuum, and it helped us make decisions that users would be likely to appreciate. And so we did have some troubles near the start of the incubator with communication, as we weren't fully comfortable working as a team. and there were a few schedule conflicts causing people to miss meetings. We also had some unclear task assignments near the beginning, and the role separation was a bit unclear. And now I'll pass it on to Min to talk about how we could have addressed some of these issues.
So going over some possible improvements, these are a few areas in which we could have improvements. First of all, as mentioned in the previous slide, on some areas that we believe to have minor problems regarding like communication. And as a solution to these problems, we thought of meeting in subgroups to have distinct role separations. And this would have allowed us to separate tasks, increasing efficiency. And not only that, but also we could have solved the problem of schedule conflicts, which every other teams also had, by dividing the team into groups and having group meetings so we can have flexibility in our group meetings. Also, we also believe that it could have been better for us if we had more icebreakers or something that allowed us to have more engagement and increasing our comfortability in sharing our opinions. Secondly, our designs could have been based on feasibility feedback from engineers, have been more increasing the efficiency and quality. And finally, we also had a few potential improvements in engineering, which were having benchmarks to measure our progress during the first few weeks, such as assigning certain tutorials. We also had some problems regarding GitHub processes as we weren't so familiar with GitHub, but we thought of going over it a bit earlier than we did to make it easier for us. Finally, to improve efficiency and speed, we thought of researching React Native libraries to use on our app, making it easier for us to code and make it faster for us.